Hello, this is Beverly Beal with the Intuitive Interior, and it's time for the August I Ching forecast. Now, the because August is the year or the month of the Yang water monkey. Um, we have a lot of influences coming together, and so when you combine the Yang water with the monkey for the hexagram, those two trigrams together, they come together for this card number 7, discipline. And so here on the bottom, there's Kan, the symbol for water, and then on top is Kun, the symbol for yin earth. Now, for any of you who are currently watching that TV series called The Boys, pay attention that in the final episode, maybe it's the last two, anyway, one of the characters is wearing a shirt with this hexagram on there. So here's a little bit more information on this. Again, discipline, it's also in some texts referred to as the army, because what it is talking about is bringing in discussing authority. So the words on the bottom of this card, by the way, for those who cannot see it, it looks like a samurai warrior, no shirt, but kind of a black skirt or whatever is on, and he's in a forward lunge holding a sword. It's nighttime, and there's a crescent moon in the night sky, with what looks like maybe a dead tree in the background. The words on the bottom of this are exert authority, define, it's time to take the bull by the horns, create a strategy, and mobilize forces. So you can see why all these words come together would also go well with bringing an army together to, fight the forces of evil, or, achieve whatever goal you are going for. But considering that last month we had the month of the card for the month was conflict. This is, I've got something stuck here on my lip, sorry, got a little distracted there. But this makes sense. So we had all this conflict last month. I mean, we're kind of still on the tail end of it. I'm recording this on August 1st. This energy doesn't actually shift until let me double check again, August 7th. So, we still have several more days as at the time of this recording for this conflict energy to be wrapping up. And, again, if you're watching politics here in America, we had this big, conflict and then this transition. And so forces literally have started to mobilize around this different iteration, and to me it's been absolutely fascinating. Now with the Yang water energy itself, that tends to be a lot of movement, a lot of change, refreshing, moving out the old, making way for the new, fast moving, keen intellect. The monkey itself is more spiritual because they're very perceptive, and so noticing, okay, this is happening, I'm going to move this way so I can shift and avoid getting hit. A lot of ninja like moves, which again, when you look at this card, somebody who is, if they want to live, they have to anticipate what the other person is going to be moving. So so one of the things, I'm using my little oracle Tao, the Tao oracle card deck. And one of the things they're talking about in here is avoiding the tendency for the quick fix. Cutting your losses by, taking the easy way out, that only leads to more hardship down the road. So that's why, this is talking about making a plan, creating a strategy so that, you might have to, have some hardship right now in order for the actual good stuff to come later. It says, let's see here. um, carefully consider everything from different angles, gaining overview so that you can make sure you get the right strategy. Um, we have Mercury going retrograde. I know this is kind of mixing astrology schools, but it still is going to be out there. That influence of Mercury, the planet of communication, of travel, of technology, moving forward. It's anything that moves you forward. It's going retrograde on August 4th until August 27th. So pretty much the entire month of August is going to be impacted with this. In fact, I'm having to re-record this because the first time I did it, I did it last night, I had accidentally pushed the mute button and I didn't notice. So it's like, all right, well, good to just be flexible and be willing to reevaluate how things are moving forward. And perhaps that's the reason why this had to get um, re-recorded a second time so that I could be the poster child for, hey, make sure your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, especially if anybody's signing any contracts or anything like that during this time frame. Really look over everything with a fine-tooth comb. All right, so the clarifying cards for, excuse me, not for July, for August. The first one is number 9. It's called the Taming Power of the Small. The hexagram here on the bottom, this trigram on the bottom is Qian, which is yang metal. And then on top is Sun, which is yin wood. So think about, and the image is that of a spider web that is attached to a branch that has a lot of beautiful white flowers on it. So flowering vines, flowering plants, those are all considered yin wood. Yang wood is more the big sturdy tree trunk. Yin wood is more that like the viney thing. It usually it's the flowers. It's the um, the kind of plants that most people like to plant because they're pretty. Um, However, if you don't have a really strong foundation like this yang metal, again, yang metal is that not refined. So it's more like the ore, but it can also be like thick rebar, thick, heavy duty support systems. So the taming power of the small, you can actually if you don't have a strong trellis, there are certain vines, like coral vine, for example, they grow really fast, really big. They're gorgeous. Wisteria is another one of these types of plants. And if you don't have a strong fence or a strong trellis, they will take it down. They will absolutely ruin many wood fences. They're just not strong enough. You need to have this hard, this really substantial thing if you want to have this beautiful, expansive coral vine or that type of a thing. That's kind of getting into gardening, but you see, feng shui works with a lot of this is common sense. And I Ching is the original feng shui. It all works together. It's this whole Chinese metaphysics thing that I got fascinated with. So um, anyway, so this taming power of the small, it's kind of alluding to the fact that there are so many forces happening outside of our control. We are not the ones who are running any of these political campaigns or in charge of any of the things that are the machinations that are going on in the executive suites. We don't have even control over sometimes the web, as we saw with that big outage. Guess is that last week already or a couple weeks ago? Anyway, it's the weather. We are out of control, and so what we can do is pay attention to the details. Make sure you have your backup plans, um, but also look at your attitudes, because sometimes when the unexpected happens, and let's say you're stuck at the airport because there's a problem with the airplane that something needs to get fixed, you can either sit there and foam and fume and froth at the mouth, or you can realize that, okay, I can't do anything there, but I can fix my attitude. I can be as patient and see what else what else can I do? What else can maybe now's the time to get a new book and read. Um, Also, um, making sure that you don't get over busy as a way to deflect from those discomforting emotions, that because if you get yourself too busy, you can also lose sight of, oh wait, I'm over here fussing and fuming and fighting. I could have been maybe talking to an agent and being nice. They might actually help me get on another flight. So that's the kind of thing. You can be so, stuck in your turmoil that you fail to see another path, or maybe having a connection with another passenger that who knows what could happen. So anyway, those are some of the things to look at. So the words in the taming power of the small are self-restraint, self sufficiency, careful preparations, resourcefulness, minor impediments, and adaptability. Now, adaptability is highlighted this month with that yang water as well as the monkey energy. So, we're going to, and with Mercury retrograde, we're just going to have to be adaptable. So, you know, it's expect the unexpected and expect that you'll make it through. Um, let's see here, it says, although your powers of influence are restricted now, it does not mean you are out of the loop. Life is giving you an opportunity to explore your humility and your ability to work with what is, even when it feels as though the excitement is all happening somewhere else. The focus line on this one is number one. Now, again, number one is the 1 through 3 deal with various aspects of our internal world. So, because this is number one, this is like a very core issue. So, it says here that take care of your own affairs now. Work quietly and diligently to do the best you can in each and every moment. Life may not feel as though it's giving you what you want, but it most certainly is providing what you need. Again, flexibility and adaptability. The second clarifying card is number 28, excess. This on this hexagram here, we've got on the bottom is sun, which is yin wood. We saw that earlier. Um, but that was the top line on the previous card. And then on the top here is dui, which is yin metal. So again, yin metal typically is more malleable. Some people refer to it as like jewelry because you have to refine the yang metal in order to burn out the impurities. But it's also that noticing, you want more. It's like too much yin metal can symbolize greed. And so you've got this yin wood, which is not real strong underneath. And so the image on this card is it looks like a person, maybe a man, I can't really tell because they're so crushed by all this mountain of bags and packages and rocks. And I don't even know what else. I can't tell if that's actually a tree growing, that he's got a tree in the background, or if there's actually a tree growing on top of one of the rocks. But there's also, like, the very top is another little crescent moon, but this time it's, the crescent is on the bottom. I can't ever remember which is waxing and waning. And, you would think I would know this, but I don't. Anyway, so the words on this are stress, overload, exhaustion, obsessiveness, gluttony, burdens, worries, the breaking point. We don't need to get to a breaking point. I mean, some people do. Some people actually they haven't quite figured out when it is okay to say no. um it's when it gets, you're so busy. Again, remember I just talked about we got to be careful not to get too busy, avoiding those uncomfortable emotions, because where everything is out of our control. So we get, I got to go do all the things. This also is speaking about the exhaustion of too much doing, and taking that space, giving yourself that little space in between the thought and the action, so that you can, think, oh, wait, is this really in my highest and best? Or am I doing this out of habit? Am I doing this out of um, because other people are expecting me to? I don't know. What do I got to do? So we can always get caught up in that drive for more, but after a certain point in time, it's like, well, how much more is needed? Um, the it says here, when we're out of touch with the real needs of the natural self, the mind comes in and takes charge. Its insatiable appetites for fame, money, sex, or power demand to be satisfied, no matter the cost to the body and soul. This mindset is responsible on a larger scale for the ecological devastation that is, in fact, a manifestation of stress on a grand scale. So, in order to relieve this stress, you got to come back to yourself, take responsibility for how you're thinking and feeling, and kind of just look at where you might be having a little bit of obsessive behavior, because that's going to blind us to your natural needs. Um, let's see what else I was going to say. There's no need for confessions, blame, or shame. And by not attempting to save face, the artificial facade crumbles and all that is extraneous falls away. This is talking about vulnerability. This is talking a lot about, oh, wow, okay, I have been not living up to my authentic self. Perhaps I can let some of this stuff go. And when that happens, this is what decluttering does. Okay. So if you're looking around your space and you're going, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff around here, start in one corner. Maybe it's just one little tiny thing. Like right now, I'm just going to be transparent here. Um, I had been doing a lot of traveling, and there were parts in my office that just got a little bit crazy. I'm still seeing other parts that need some assistance, but I made progress. I got one big pile. I like to f- I like so here's a good tip on how to tackle clutter. How to tackle clutter. You take this pile of papers that have been sitting there staring at you for sometimes weeks, months, hopefully not years. Although I did have that happen once when during a particularly awful period of life. Um, you take that pile, maybe not the whole pile, start maybe with half of it, pick it up, flip it over, and then you start in the bottom of, whatever that bottom part of that file is, that pile. And then you look at the paper, and then you sit with whatever the emotions are that have been being held down by this pile of papers. You sit with it, you acknowledge it, then you do something with it. You file it, you shred it, or you recycle it. And you start from the bottom, so basically now it's now the so you start and you work yourself down. You'd be amazed at how quickly these piles disappear once you have dealt with and acknowledged and dealt with the emotions that are stuck in those piles. And so that's one of the best ways of dealing with excess. It works for clothes. It works for anything else that you've been collecting. Pens. Take some time while you're watching TV and just make sure they all work. If they don't work, they need to go. All right, that's enough on excess, except for the focus line on this one is number 6. And again, remember I talked about the bottom 3 were for the inner world. The top 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the outer world. And because this is the very top, this is, again, society at large. So it says sometimes we get overloaded because we have taken on too much of the new without being willing to let go of the old. Have a look and see if you are carrying something from the past that, however precious it was, once we might not be in your best interest to carry any longer. If not, then see if you can find the strength to let it go. All right. So we talked a lot about how to do that decluttering. The final clarifying card is number 39, obstacles. Oh boy. We went from conflict last month to discipline this month to obstacles now. All right, so number 39, the bottom trigram is gun, which is yang earth. The top trigram is excuse me, water. The image on this card is that of a little white sailed sailboat in at night with no stars in the sky on a rather choppy looking ocean. It does not look like they're having fun. And if I were on that boat, I would be completely green. Um, Obstacles are unexpected obstructions, frustrations, difficulties, feelings of hopelessness, struggle, and discouragement. Yay! But again, that makes sense because we are dealing with Mercury retrograde, and often that can lead to some miscommunication, frustrating conversations, things that don't quite work, like the fact that I get to re-record this, which is fine. It just means patience is going to be a virtue this time around, and being really paying attention to those details. So the obstacles, it says here that the media presents countless images of flawless, streamlined life that never sweats the small stuff, the glamour of the movers and shakers, and it's a fuss, and it's all a facade. It's not always everything is not perfect. Everything does not always work like that. I mean, a picture, how many pictures do you have to take in order to get one where you actually think your face doesn't need to get fixed somehow? So life is not perfect. And the sooner people accept that and embrace that, these little obstacles, they're going to be just nothing. Let's see. So here's also the suggestion, just kind of giving you the heads up that there will probably be setbacks. Life is always full of setbacks. Maybe it's a road detour. Maybe that appointment that you were so looking forward to has to get canceled because somebody gets sick. COVID's going back around. It's so, being aware of the fact that we all have to get back to being flexible. But if something, really big happens, maybe there's a big health issue. The most important thing is to not panic, because when you panic, the part of your brain that controls your logical thinking and your ability to forecast and notice the ways things can go right, it gets stuck in the doom loop. That's not helpful. That is not helpful. So when you feel that anxiety coming up, that's when you get to say, okay, I'm going to take this part of me that is just trying to protect me. Because when you're in panic mode, really, there's just this part of you that is truly just wanting to protect you. It just is trying everything it can to save your life. What it doesn't realize is it's also tying you in knots, and it's reducing your flexibility and your ability to notice the path out. So this is where you get to ground, you get to breathe, you get to really practice that connecting with the earth, connecting with the sky, making sure that you have this infinite connection of energy coming in, so that you can hear the possibilities, your body can feel where it's being pulled, and you can actually have the right words to say what needs to be said at the right time. Because the big picture, it's always changing. Everything is changing. It says here, ask yourself if you become too fixated on progress at the expense of harmony with others and your own inner balance. When things have reached such a state, the whole point is that you have missed the point, that whatever you're clinging to is the very thing you're meant to let go of. As soon as you begin to release the vice-like grip of fear and stop struggling to keep it all together, the situation will start to feel less overwhelming. So again, we've got that through point of letting go, let go of that white knuckle. Maybe it's a situation, maybe it's a job, maybe it's a person. Maybe it's an image of yourself, that you have to be a certain way in order to be loved or to be accepted. Authenticity has no competition. you know, so this is where sometimes people think that being their authentic self is the obstacle. I'm telling you right now, that's the freedom. That is the freedom. Okay, so the focus line on this one is number 3 because so number 3, it's right at that transition point. So this is the part about, okay, now I'm moving from that inner world. I've done all that inner work and I'm about to make the leap into the external world. So number 3 is abandoning all your everyday routines in order to deal with difficulties and obstructions can have the unintended consequence of leaving others around you off balance and feeling threatened. Slow down, come back to your center, and look for a middle way out of the present impasse. There are definitely times when we just want to make wholesale changes. You go to the hairdresser and it's like, just shave it all off. Okay, while that sounds good, and I think a few people have had those Britney Spears moments where you just kind of go in and you've clearly lost it. It feels good for the moment, but it's also very destabilizing for the world around you. Now, sometimes those types, sometimes those types of wholesale changes are necessary. But before you do that, before you just say, that's it, I'm done, I quit, make sure that you have a plan B. If you are, no, you don't need to add more obstacles to your life. There will be enough. And so having those discussions, getting grounded, sitting with it, and then asking yourself, is this ecological? How much transition can my life, can my health, can my um, functioning handle at the same time, all at once? It may be that, okay, we're going to do this now, and then we'll do this. Think of it as a home renovation. Maybe you start with, in our case, the guest bathroom. We're going to start with that. And then maybe we'll change out some light fixtures. Okay. And then after that, maybe we'll think about the deck. Or maybe we'll, something else. If you went through and did the whole thing all at once, that's incredibly disruptive, expensive too. And so let's just do yourself a favor and use this retrograde time that's coming up as a way to reflect on times when you may have been the obstacle in your life, times when you have been a little too greedy to get too many other things, where you may not have appreciated the small things, and overlooked some of those small details. Now's is a good time to go back through and have the discipline to go back, and maybe it's editing your sock drawer, which I did that last week as well. Yeah, when Mercury goes retrograde, I tend to go into cleaning frenzies. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I've got this double Virgo energy. I don't know. Um, but whatever you're finding coming up in the month of August, I would love it if you could share at the bottom, make a comment. I'd love to have a conversation there. Please like, subscribe, and share. I greatly appreciate spreading this message. And as much as you can, take this next month to start to tap into that inner intuition, that inner smile, and just observe where the magic is happening in your life, because that's the coolest part. We get this opportunity to have this time on this planet, and I try to not waste it because it's just too much fun. All right, thank you so much. Have a great August, and I'll talk to you next month.